So, you're thinking about Oxbridge, but there's something that's telling you that it's not for people like you. You know, maybe you didn't go to a fancy private school or you can't afford private tuition, and for many, there's no one that even speaks about Oxbridge seriously around them. I get it. See, I went to a state school for 7 years. I've been state educated throughout my time in school. I had 0 hours of private tuition, I had 0 connections, and I have an offer to study law at Oxford. Now, this video is not about showing off, it's merely about proving to you that Oxbridge is achievable even if everything around you suggests otherwise. And in this video, I'm going to show you how. Now let me start with this. Your environment does not define you. Just because other people haven't done it doesn't mean that you cannot. I mean, for me, Oxbridge felt like a different universe for a very long time. But someone has to be the first, right? You might come from a low-income household, you might be the first in your family to go to university, but that doesn't disqualify you. In fact, it can be a strength. The real difference, whether you're willing to take the first step early and seriously. If there's one thing that I've learned, it's do not wait. Action early will pay off. Too many people start preparing, 2 weeks before their entrance exam thinking they'll just go hard. That doesn't work. What does work? An hour a day, start preparing months in advance, be consistent. Consistency defeats quantity when it comes to entrance exams. It's not glamorous, but it builds skill, it builds confidence, and it builds momentum without the burnout. Truthfully, entrance exams are typically where people rise or fall. Now, whether you're doing the LNAT like I did, or you're doing the TSA, TMUA, the PAT, the HAT, these tests are brutal if you're unprepared, but they are manageable if you're strategic. Here's what most people get wrong. They think that they can cram. I'll start 2 weeks before and grind 5 hours a day. No, that's panic energy, not performance energy. Instead, I treated it almost like going to the gym, which I'm getting back into. I did 1 hour a day, every day, months before the real thing. Some days I did timed sections, other times I reviewed model essays. I didn't burn out because I had a rhythm, and by the time that I went to sit the LNAT, it felt familiar. Also, do not underestimate the value of why. Why an answer was right, why an answer was wrong, because that's how you recognize patterns, and that's the kind of thing that will separate the people who get the top scores in the LNAT and the people who perform below average. And look, if you can afford a course or a book, that's great. But if you can't, there are free past papers and there are walkthroughs online. On my TikTok, I have a video dedicated to the LNAT. Again, this is not about buying your way in. It's about doing the work necessary to achieve greatness. Now let's talk GCSEs, because a lot of people get this twisted. Now GCSEs are not the be-all and the end-all, but they are a foundation. When admissions tutors at Oxford or Cambridge look at your application, one of the first things that they will see is your GCSE performance, and they use it to measure academic consistency. How you've performed, over time, not just in bursts, and how you've been able to manage your time across a series of different subjects. Now, if you've already got your GCSEs and you're happy with them, wonderful. But if you're in year 10 or you're in year 11, please take them seriously. Because getting a string of top grades, especially in the subjects to do with what you want to obtain a degree in, will give you some more breathing room later. It's almost like you're starting your A-level journey a few steps ahead. You have less stress going into them. And if you didn't do well at GCSE, well, that's not game over. You just need to double down on your A-levels and build an academic profile that shows clear growth. Now that means more emphasis not on just A-levels, also on extracurriculars, supercurriculars. And if you can raise your application that way, GCSEs will not necessarily drag you down. Don't beat yourself up, but don't lie to yourself either. Every grade matters more than you think, especially when competition is tight. One of the most underrated decisions, in my opinion, is choosing the right subject. And by right, I don't mean the subjects that look most impressive. I mean the subject that makes you obsess, the subject that makes you lose track of time, the subject that makes you curious. Because let's be real, Oxbridge interviews and personal statements aren't about ticking boxes. They're about whether you care, whether you've gone beyond the textbook, whether you've explored things because you wanted to, not because you had to. So here's what I did. Once I knew that I wanted to study law, I read About Law by Tony Honori, which I will forever recommend. It's an excellent book for an introduction into law. I watched countless YouTube videos about, experience of students that studied law at Oxbridge. See, no one told me to do that, but I did it anyway. I wanted to know more, and see, that's the mindset that Oxbridge loves. They're looking for intellectual hunger, and that has nothing to do with how rich you are or what school you went to. Now, here's a mini action plan for you, a bit of homework. Read one book outside of your syllabus, write down what interested you and why, and start forming opinions, ask questions, be critical. By the time that you're writing your personal statement or you're facing an interview, that passion becomes unmissable. Now let me tell you something that's absolutely changed my journey, and I think it will for you too, especially if you're state educated. Surround yourself with the right people. And I don't mean networking in, the fake LinkedIn influencer sort of way. I mean real intentional connections with people who are just like you. For me, it started with Model UN. Now it sounds weird, but two of my closest friends I met at Model UN, and now they are both off to top universities. See, we pushed each other, we kept each other focused, we shared opportunities, and we kept raising the bar. Now, both of them went to grammar schools, I didn't, and we're sort of at an equilibrium, right? We're all going to achieve great things. We're on that sort of path at the minute. And beyond that, I wasn't afraid to explore other spaces. I got onto Reddit threads where people were sharing, Oxbridge interview tips, LNAT advice, that kind of thing. I started becoming a bit of a LinkedIn warrior. I wouldn't be showing off, I'd just be asking questions. I'd find someone who had gotten into Oxbridge and I'd message them saying, congrats, would you be open to sharing a bit about your application process? And more often than not, you see, they replied because people want to help, especially if you show you're serious. So don't be scared to email me, to comment on this video, text me on LinkedIn, text others on LinkedIn. They will want to help you, to guide you. I went to subject taster days, I went to masterclasses, and honestly, that's where it hit me. When you're in a room full of students who are as passionate about a subject as you don't feel weird for caring, you feel seen. So the key point is, whether it's a weekend, Model UN conference, a thread on Reddit, or a random chat after a taster lecture, which I did do and I do recommend. These little moments, they create your support system. And trust me, when you're preparing for your entrance exam, sending off your application, an interview, having those people around you that get it makes a difference. One more thing, and this is crucial, do not fall for the trap. There are programs out there charging ridiculous amounts of money claiming to effectively guarantee Oxbridge offers. You do not need them. If you can't afford it, that's fine. I didn't pay for any of them. What mattered was ultimately consistency, resourcefulness, and a genuine passion for my subject, which those who know me know that I do have. So you can get in without dropping thousands, you just need the right approach and curiosity. So I know what it feels like to doubt yourself, to think that Oxbridge isn't for people like me, but it is, I promise you. Whether you're at a state school or you're dealing with financial hardship, or you feel like an outsider to all of this, Oxbridge is still a door that you can walk through. So start now, be consistent, and take every opportunity. Because if you're willing to do the work, then Oxbridge is achievable. Yes, it is. Now, if this video helped, please do drop a like, comment some more video ideas, some feedback, and subscribe so you're notified whenever I post a new video. It's the summer now, so I'll be posting more. I'll be posting, breakdowns on entrance exams, interviews, subject tips, everything I wish I knew when I started. And remember, this is just the beginning.